Same as it ever was. You got to do the thing down your arm. You got to karate chop your arm, Steve. Do it.
That was well done. No, I'll let you do it.
Same as it ever was. Artist of the day is the Talking Heads.
You may find yourself living in a
All right, prior to the show.
How did I get here? You ever do that, Steve?
in another
You ever sit here sitting next to me and wonder how wonderful your life is? You go, Self, how did I get here?
How did I get here?
You may find yourself in a
Thinking that right now. Prior to the show,
Letting the days go by.
you had a chance to catch up with Alan Griffin. Earlier practice today, team's leaving for Clemson, so practice was moved up to noon. So you had a chance to catch up with Alan Griffin before the show. We're going to play that interview for you right now. And Paulie started him off by asking him about what went wrong on Saturday against the Duke Blue Devils.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing, it was a great crowd. It was the biggest crowd that we had all year. Highly anticipated game. I thought a couple of our guys, they were just too amped up and just, I don't know. It was just one of those things where, you got to give Duke a lot of credit too, because they did a couple of things, especially inside, to really frustrate us and frustrate Jesse and make him do some uncharacteristic things. So, it was just one of those things where it is a combination of a lot of things.
You mentioned Jesse and how he struggled. What could he have done in that situation to make it better? And, when you got 2 7-footers running at you, it's probably not that easy.
Yeah, well, you know what? But, the one thing, he got frustrated, obviously offensively, more so at himself than anything. And he let that dictate what he does, overall in terms of his rebounding, his blocking shots around the rim. And, one thing that he has to understand is that he can affect the game more than just, scoring. He's done it for us plenty of times throughout his career here. And you know what? He just needs to understand that.
What do you guys do after a game like that? Do you sit and watch the tape? Do you put it behind you? What do you guys do after a game like that?
I mean, you obviously got to watch it to see what happened, because, teams that you play against coming up on the schedule, they're going to look at that game to see, and they're going to make those adjustments and try to frustrate us again. So, obviously, watching the tape as a staff and then going back, you address it with the team, and then you kind of have to move on, because, you have games back to back, and you just can't harp on just, one game. It's just a game.
Griff, what's the team's attitude following that game? That can't be easy on the young players.
Yeah, you know what? But the one thing that young players have is short-term memory. They have really fast nowadays, I think our guys have always bounced back throughout the season after, some times where we took some losses, consecutive losses or a loss. So guys have a short-term memory and come ready to play against a really good Clemson team on the road on Wednesday night.
Judah Mintz, it feels like he's turned the corner on his game. Maybe you could talk about, being, as you were a former point guard here at Syracuse, what his growth has been like to watch.
Yeah, Judah's growth has been unbelievable in terms of, his reads on the court, learning from his mistakes that he had early on. And the greatest thing about him is that, he competes every play. And that's always been there. So he's having a phenomenal year, and he's put a string together some games where he looked like one of the best point guards, not just in the ACC but in the country.
Can you talk a little bit about Joe? Also, we're seeing him score in ways we've never seen him score before. He's actually getting to the basket. He's backing people down. Talk about his growth also.
Yeah, Joe's been great. I actually find it funny that a guy that's 6 foot is really comfortable doing that. Like, backing sometimes it's bigger guys down, but he's expanding his game. He's not just sitting out on the 3-point line, bombing them away. He's mixing it up into the basket and making some nice plays at the rim.
All right, you got Clemson coming up tomorrow. Maybe you could give us a quick scouting report on Clemson.
Tough, physical team, probably the most physical team we've seen all year. Got a great player. We got 2 really good inside players in Tyson and Hall. which is going to challenge our interior defense. And, they got shooters, so they're going to give us a run for our money.
You know, that you said they're the most physical team you've seen all year, and it feels like every time after a loss, Coach Boeheim in the interview or the post-game press conference says they out-physicaled us. What can you guys do to not be out-physicaled by a team like this?
You know what? We probably punch first. Sometimes, in a fight, the only thing you remember is the first punch, and the last punch sometimes. And, and for us, we've always been the last punch this year, so we got to go out there and punch first, And I think that's the key for us in terms of when you think about physicality. We gotta push teams around a little bit more, and even in that game against Duke, Jesse only had one foul, and he needs to be more aggressive protecting the rim. He's doing a great job of it all year, and he's going to keep up doing it. But just to answer your question, we just got to push first. We got to punch first.
All right, one last one for you. Pitchers and catchers reported. How you feeling about your Yankees this year?
Favorite time of the year, but I think we got a good team. I think we're going to have to make a couple of trades by the deadline. I think, and I'm calling it now before anybody would say anything. I'm calling now. We need to get a couple of. We might need another starter. And then I think we'll have a World Series team. We can't lose to Houston again. I just can't. I think if we lose to Houston again, I'm done. I might stop watching baseball.
All right, Griff. Good luck against Clemson tomorrow.
All right, thanks.
All right, Alan Griffin with Paulie Sibilia. Prior to the show, we're up against the top of the hour, Paulie.
Everybody had the same reaction in the chat that I did when he said, this is the most physical team we played all year. Oh, boy. Not good.
Yeah. Yeah. And they've got 4 games left here in the regular season, and these next 2 are going to be pretty physical, too. Clemson and Pittsburgh.
It's time to learn how to beat teams that are more physical than you,
yeah.
Steve.
And Jesse is in need of a bounce-back game here.
They need, like, an Olivia Newton-John game, if you know what I'm getting at.
Yes. I know exactly what you're getting at there. All right, we'll hit a timeout. Hour number 1 in the books. We'll kick off hour number 2 next on ESPN Radio.